Hey guys, nice to have you with me. Susannah here and my dear friend Arthur Dallimer. You can check out his website on Arthur Dallimer,
WilliamArthurProperty.com.
WilliamArthurProperty.com, forgive me. And obviously you know to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, and also if you haven't done it already, you need to jump over to my website, thegoodpropertycompany.co.uk. It is stacked full of immediate download education for you. But today, because things are changing really rapidly, is should I be worried about rising interest rates if I want to get into property? Should I allow that to stop me? I can't do it because of rising interest rates. Oh my word, my brain's exploding. What about the interest rates? All the stuff that people are panicking about. What do you think?
I think for the last kind of 3 years, we've seen the government pumping loads of money into the economy. And as a result, we've had really low interest rates, but that's not sustainable. The government can't keep putting money into the economy, so they've got to claw it back somewhere, and that's through interest rates. But I think you need to be realistic. I had a family member come up to me, my dad, and was like, "You need to slow down. The interest rates are going up." And I said to him, if you look at all lending, my average between commercial, residential interest rate is about 5% anyway.
Because Arthur's got a commercial portfolio and a residential portfolio, and then you're doing big development sites as well.
Yeah. So for me, an interest rate of say 7% is normal.
Yeah. And the average mortgage interest rate was around 6 or 7%.
Yeah.
So I've had low interest rates. Now, let's not even laugh about how old you were when I started. So I started in 2008, 2009. You would have been...
14, 15.
Okay, he was still a teenager. But I've had low interest rates since 2008.
Yeah.
It's, but the whole time while I've been having it, I've never acclimatized myself to this is normal. I've always been like, man, am I lucky. At any point this could go up, but the average in my head is 6 to 7%. I've just had low interest rates for like 14 years. Woo-hoo! So both of us, our perception from the very get-go is the average should be, not should, but is 6 or 7%.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're not panicking that interest rates are going up, but should we be worried?
I think people's ability to pay rent is going to go down. So I think you should be worried, but make sure you're buying something that is multi-unit. So if, say you've bought a property with 3 units in, like a shop and 2 flats, if one of them doesn't pay, you can still afford the mortgage. So I think stress test to make sure that there's enough money coming in to pay that mortgage. So
when you're saying stress test, how do you do that? I know what I do it to.
It's a percentage normally. I think the banks run it at 1.5 or something now, but
what do you stress test to?
Like 2, like I should be able to cover the mortgage twice.
Okay, so I stress test to my mortgages going up to 13%, which is pretty unlikely. So can I break even at 13% and below? Great. If not, then I need to do something about it and kind of readjust my property portfolio. What else would you do with interest rates? I've got a couple of ideas. Like, interest rates go up, you got to increase the rent.
Yes. Yeah.
So we could move I've got quite a lot of single lets. We could move single lets to service accommodation.
Yeah.
For sure.
I've got commercial properties, so I'm more locked in to the leases.
But then you're on fixed rates.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I always fix for 5 years. I still do actually fix for 5 years. So, but I do have a number that have just come off or just about to come off 5 years. So they're going to be variable until I refix them. And obviously I'm just going to let the markets chill the rock out first before I refix them. So one of the things I'm looking at genuinely is, do I look at some of mine and turn them to service accommodation? Because I'll get 3 times the income and then outsource that to somebody else.
But with a recession going on, people spending less, do you think you'll get the customer base?
I think that people have gotten used to holidaying in the UK.
Yeah.
I think not everybody yet, and most people are kind of quite comfortable now about flying abroad, but not everybody. And people, like my family, we didn't see each other for like a year and a half, 2 years. I mean, we did Zooms every week, but we didn't see each other. So, we get together more often now as a bigger family.
Yeah.
So at the moment, I think we're okay with that. But of course, watch out for legislation.
Yes.
Anything else we should watch out with interest rates going up?
Just watch spending and what people are spending their money on.
Yes. The other thing that I do is I look at the quality of my tenant in terms of their ability to pay. So I've got quite a lot of student HMOs, and I will take students, but they have to have a parental guarantor, and that parent has to own a house and there has to be enough equity in it to pay the rent. So I've got some students whose parents don't own houses. So rather than saying, no, you can't live here, what they have to do is they have to pay the year rent up front, and they're quite happy to do that. And that's what's happened so far. Next year, I'm going to experiment with saying to students, look, we know you have to pay the rent. You know you have to pay the rent. You get your student grant up front, just pay the rent up front, because I think that's going to be easier. But it will also, and I actually also have some single let houses where they just pay the rent once a year, and I like that. It's great for cash flow, but more than that, it's really great for just not having to do the work 12 times a year. You just have to do it once. And then the final thing, of course, is I think this is an obvious one, which you're probably doing anyway. If you've got rentals, just manage the bad debt really carefully. Like, I just don't have people that don't pay. I have a really clear process. And occasionally, like, all the rent is payable on the 1st, and occasionally, you know, a small number of people haven't paid by the 2nd, but I have an automatic system that chases them like mad. By the 3rd, we're writing them legal letters to say, you know, letter 1, letter 2, letter 3, and by day 10, we go to court. But we explain that process, and funnily enough, they pay. So I've always been really hot on kind of tenant debt management, because I'm not prepared to give them free housing, because that's not the contract, because I can't get a free mortgage. So I guess it's just sort of old school stuff, isn't it? Yeah. There you go. So what was our conclusion? Quality of tenant, if we're doing tenants, fix your mortgages, stress test. If the tenant can't get a guarantor, then take the money up front.
Kind of turn off the pub talk and the media. This will be our normal rates.
Yeah.
There's no longer this like 2%. You've got to get this is it.
Yeah, and that's fine. I just think we've had a really lucky run of it. Yeah. But the only good news with interest rates going up is, of course, typically, but not always, then what you want as a property investor is you want inflation to erode your debt. So if interest rates go up and inflation goes up and the value of properties go up, sometimes there's an inverse relationship, but if over time the values of properties go up, well, your debt just gets like eaten away by inflation. So I'm not unhappy about it within my own business. Oh, and finally, on HMOs, all of my tenants, I don't pay any of the bills. So again, with inflation going the way it's going, my tenants pay the bills. So they're the ones looking for the fixed price contracts on things like gas and electricity. I've got fixed costs. I don't have many variable costs. And that's quite nice to know, isn't it?
So yeah, ride the recession out.
Woohoo!
Interest rates is normal.
Yeah, and yeah, stay calm when people, you know, when all around you are losing their heads. It's not panic, because you're not going into this with a slither of safety. You've got a really nice big safety margin. Oh yeah, and finally, like, I've paid off quite a few houses now. If you're brand new to property, you know, you won't be able to do that straight away. But I've always been very mindful of a cash generating strategy. Like, we're sitting in one of your flips right now. It's going to make you 50, 60 grand. I've always brought in cash generating through deal sourcing or flipping, and then used that to pay off houses. So I've got quite a few houses that completely paid off, which just gives me some headroom in what could be difficult economic circumstances going forward. Good luck to you. Subscribe to the YouTube channel so you see all the videos first.